Hare Krishna, welcome to the Bhagavad Gita class. Thank you so much for joining. We will start. No, we will not start. We will continue with chapter 14. We already started last week. So before we start our discussion of chapter 14 or continue our discussion, let us recite the Mangalacharan prayers. I will share it on my screen and then we can recite. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All right, thank you for once again for joining. I'll just reposition the screen here. Okay. So we will start or continue our discussion on Bhagavad Gita Chapter 14. So Chapter 14 title is the three modes of material nature. Or the three modes of the material world. And these are the modes, means the three modes are known as the three guna. These are Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Also, English translation is mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So these are the three modes of material nature. So Lord Krishna begins by this chapter by saying that it is very important, or this is one of the most important knowledge that he is giving again, bhuyaha, and he is going to talk about three things about the world, the material world, the jiva or the living entity, and how the material world or the jiva is, we'll say, bound to the material world. And finally, he will talk about how to cut this binding. So this is the essence of this chapter, what this chapter is explaining, how the jiva is bound to the material world and how to cut this binding. So that is what this chapter is all about. So it started off by Lord Krishna, saying that this is a very, very important part of or piece of knowledge. And he started with the explanation of the material world, that this material world is the name of this material world. The Sanskrit is Prakriti. And this is like the mother. And Krishna is the father. And out of this union of the mother and father, the jivas are born into the material world, into the womb of Prakriti. So the jivas are born into the womb of Prakriti. The jiva is, by the way, never born. Jiva is eternal, but jiva is put into, we should say, just to be very technically clear, jivas are placed, not born. It's wrong to say that the jiva is born, because the jiva is never born, but that is a technicality, is placed into the womb of Prakriti. So this is the position of the jiva in the material world. And we discussed this. And when we say jiva, last time we had a substantial discussion on this, that jiva means all living entities, not just human beings. And that Krishna is the seed-giving father. Seed-giving father, which means that he is the direct father. Okay, so we had discussion about that. This is where we concluded, or we stopped last time. So last time we covered from 14.1 to 14.4. We covered 4 verses. This is previous class. Today's class, my goal is to complete the chapter. We will see how far we get with this. And this chapter has 27 verses. So we will want to go from 14.5 to 14.27. That is our goal. So we will see how successful we are in that goal. Okay, so 14.5. Now, in 14.5, Lord Krishna is going to explain how we came, or how we became entangled in the material world. 14.4, we discussed how the jiva is placed into the material world, how it finds its existence in the material world. So now it is existing in the material world. Now, once it is existing, it gets entangled. So 14.5, the topic is, how does the jiva get entangled or bound in the material world? Okay, so that is the question that will be dealt with right now. Now, before we answer this question, we need to then understand what is the material world made of. Then we can understand how the jiva gets entangled in it. So let us discuss a little bit about what is the material world made of. So that is what is actually discussed in 14.5. So 14.5 says, Sattvam rajas tama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibadhnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. So what does it mean? Sattvam rajas tama iti. So these are the 3 elements, or the 3 modes. Gunaha prakriti sambhavaha means that the material world is produced out of these three gunas. So these three gunas form the basic three elements of the material world. So what is the material world made of? It is made of the three gunas. So if this is the question, what is the material world made of? The answer is three gunas. Sattvam, rajas, tama iti gunaha prakriti sambhavaha. The prakriti, the material world, becomes sambhav, becomes possible due to the presence of these three modes. So these three modes are the cause, or we can say the three root or fundamental elements of the material world. Now, in just a small deviation into modern science, one can ask, how is it possible that the whole material world or the whole universe is just made up of three elements? Well, modern science also says that everything is made up of three fundamental building blocks at various levels, actually. At the most, at the sort of if we go back maybe 100 years or 125 years, then the scientists said there are protons, neutrons, and electrons. Those were the fundamental building blocks of nature. Everything in the material world, everything that we see in the whole universe is made up of these three things. Then when the particle physics gained momentum, then there came quarks, leptons, and bosons. Those became the three fundamental building blocks for those who are interested in science and particle physics. Then there was string theory. I don't know exactly, but there are also some fundamental types of vibrating strings, closed loop strings, open loop strings, some various things are there, and string theory itself is divided into various different things. I don't know the details. But the point is that according to the Bhagavad Gita, the fundamental building blocks are Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Now, what exactly these are? Are these particles? Are these some kind of, like protons? We don't know. These are the fundamental three building blocks, more subtle. More subtle means more fine-grained, more abstract than any particle physics. So when it is said, and this is given, I'm just summarizing some of the portions of Srila Prabhupada's purports, which are a little bit more technical. When this material world is created out of the body of Mahavishnu, these three elements are present in their unmanifest state. That is known as pradhana. And then they become, over time, by the force of time, they become present in their manifest state. Now, these are more technical topics. Even I'm not an expert in all these topics. This is known as Sankhya philosophy. And a more detailed description of this is given in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we will, leave it there. But these three elements, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, form the fundamental building blocks of everything in the material world, everything. Now comes the next part of the verse. So we were on 14.5 and we just read A, B, the first line or the first two padas, which is Sattvam, Rajas, Tama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha. This prakriti or material world is made possible by these three modes. The second part is more important, C and D. What does it say? Nibadhnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. That these three modes are nibadhnanti. They bind the dehi. Dehi means the jiva, one who resides in the deha. And they bind it to the deha, to the material body. So Srila Prabhupada's translation is, material nature consists of three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these three modes. Now, conditioned, the word conditioned is the translation for nibadhnanti. We can also say badhnanti means bandh gaya hai. It has become bound, or it becomes conditioned by the three modes. So when the jiva enters the material world, so think of just as an analogy, you have a swimming pool full of water. All right. Now you as the swimmer jumps into the swimming pool. What is bound to happen to you? You will will you remain dry or you will get wet?
Wet.
Is there any possibility to remain dry? There is absolutely no possibility, isn't it? You have jumped into the water. If you wanted to stay dry, you should have stayed out. The fundamental property of the swimming pool is water. It is full of water. If you jump into it, you will absolutely come into contact with water, and there is absolutely no way to remain dry. You will become wet. This same analogy is applied here, that when the jiva enters the material world, since the material world is composed of these three gunas, it will become influenced by the three gunas. And which means become influenced means it will take on the properties of the three gunas, which means it will become bound, or it will become heavily, and I will explain the process of gradual influence, but it becomes influenced more and more and more over time by the three gunas. And that's what is called as bound by the three gunas. Okay. The literal meaning of the word guna. What is the literal meaning of the word guna? Anybody knows?
Properties.
No, that is one meaning. Guna. Guna means that is guna. There is another meaning, a root meaning of the
Guna is to
Sanskrit.
Characteristics.
Another meaning of guna is rope. You can look it up in the Sanskrit dictionary.
rope.
It's a rope. So a rope is meant to tie you. And similarly, the gunas bind the living entity with they are like ropes, and the living entity becomes bound by the rope. Okay. So the important part of C and D is that the modes or the gunas are binding. And I will put this in red color. This is a very, very important part. Whatever the mode be, whatever the guna be, it binds you. And binds means what? Binding means it keeps the jiva bound to body. And when it is bound to body, it means it is bound to material world. So basically, it is like once you come in contact with the modes act like a magnet. They keep you bound with them. They don't let you become free of them. Are you following? So that is what is being said here. Nibadhnanti mahabaho. Dehe dehinam avyayam. That avyayam means eternally the jiva has been bound from no beginning, from eternality, the jiva has remained bound by the three modes. Okay. So that is how the material world is composed of the three modes, and the three modes are binding. So the two main points of 14.5 once again are material world composed of three gunas. That's point number one. Point number two, the three gunas are binding. So that is 14.5. Now let us go to 14.6. Okay. Let me open this. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badhnati jnana sangena chanagha. So what happens there? That tatra sattvam nirmalatvat. So this mode of sattva is being defined in sattva. Definition plus its binding nature. That is there in 14.6, 14.7, and 14.8. All three of them are describing this. rajas and tamas. Its definition, point number 1, and the fact that it is binding. So we are right now reading Sattva, or the mode of goodness. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat. So this Sattva mode is nirmala. Nirmala means it is very pure. So 14.6, the mode of goodness is pure. Prakashakam, it is illuminating. And it is anamayam. Anamayam means without sin. And what does it bind one to? So this is the quality of the mode of goodness, that it is pure, illuminating, and without sin. It binds one to sukha sangena, to happiness. Sukha sangena badhnati. Again, badhnati means binds. So it binds one to sukha. Jnana sangena cha anagha. Anagha means, my dear Arjuna, no sinless Arjuna. But jnana sangena, so by happiness and knowledge. Jnana. So it binds one to happiness and knowledge. So let me ask you this question. Now, mode of, okay, let us quickly cover 14.7. And 14.8 also. Okay. So 14.6 we discussed. 14.7 is mode of passion or rajas. This was goodness. So the mode of passion is born out of unlimited desires and longings. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sangam samudbhavam. Trishna sanga samudbhavam. So ragatmikam, so which means it is full of attachment and lust, desires and lust. Trishna means hankering, like very, very strong attachment or strong craving for something. Trishna sangam samudbhavam, it is originated of, it is born of these things. So mode of passion is born of strong desires. Lust, it's the same kind of, it's a synonym for that. Trishna, very strong craving for something material, not something spiritual, for something material. Okay. And what does it binds to? Binds one to tan nibadhnanti kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. So it binds one to fruitive activity, karma. So in this one who is in this mode, he is very much bound to being very taking a lot of actions for one's sense gratification. I want this, so I'll work hard, I'll work towards it constantly. So like Srila Prabhupada said, like a dog is running on 4 legs, we are running on 4 wheels. So we are trying to run faster and faster and faster to gain whatever it may be, a better job, more money, better status, all these things, and very strong desire, very strong hankering. We cannot tolerate somebody else next to us having more than us. We always want, oh, he got this, I should also get it, to beat him, to come first. So this is the mode of passion. And mode of ignorance, (14.8) is tasmatva ajnanajam vidhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramada alasya nidrabhistan nibadhnanti bharata. So this mode of ignorance is produced out of ignorance or ajnana. And illusion, moha. So trying to run after things which seem like sweet, but they are ultimately very sour. Mohanam sarvadehinam, and they lead to pramada, alasya, and nidra. Madness binds one to madness, laziness, and sleep. So these are the characteristics or the definitions and the characteristics, what they bind one to. So the definition and its binding nature, what does it bind one to? So that is what is described in these three verses. You get a general idea. Very quickly or very soon, I will explain or I will give a summary of all the three modes. So just be a little more patient and I will be giving a sort of a summary of the whole sort of the working and everything, or the explanation of the three modes. So just be patient if you are not following properly what is going on. So yeah, let us do two more verses, 14.9 and 14.10, and then I will summarize. So 14.9 is basically a summary of 14.6, 14.7, and 14.8. So 14.9 is saying that Sattvam sukhe sanjayati rajah karmani bharata jnanam avritya tu tamah pramade sanjatya uta. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness. So it is a summary that it is mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance, binds one to happiness, fruitive work, and madness. That is what is being said in 14.9. Okay. Now 14.10 is saying a very, very important concept. So a lot will be explained through 14.10. So please listen carefully. Now some interesting points are coming about these three modes. 14.10 is saying, I will read just the English translation. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats the goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. So the point here is that these three modes, these three gunas, they are always in competition for supremacy. So what it means, so now I will give a summary of what is going on. So these three modes, so like I explained, are like water, and you jump into the swimming pool and you will get wet. In this particular case, this swimming pool consists of water of three colors. Think of it like an example, just an example. It's not a very direct example, but think of it like there are three colors. And in your nature, everybody's nature is composed of these three elements, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And these three are present in some proportion in everyone. So it's not like one person is Sattvic and he's 100% Sattvic. It may be possible, but extremely rare. He may be 90% Sattvic, 5 or 7% Rajasic, and 3% Tamasic. So it could be, one possible thing could be 90 plus 7 plus 3. It could be any kind of distribution, X plus Y plus Z. The sum has to be 100. So basically these three modes, or if we talk in terms of percentage, 100%. So every person is unique, and he may have a different composition of sattva, rajas, and tamasic nature. No two people will be exactly alike. Another example is like RGB, red, green, and blue. So any color can be formed out of these three primary colors by mixing them, by mixing each of these three primary colors in a specific percentage. So for example, if you mix, I think green and blue 50-50, what do you get? 50% green, 50% blue. I think the answer is yellow. Similarly, you can get millions and millions of colors. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a, people who do art and, come up with various colors, they know what colors to mix to get what kind of color. So they can come up with millions and millions and millions of colors by mixing some very fundamental, and especially these three fundamental colors in various proportions. So similarly, our nature is composed of these three fundamental root types of nature, these three gunas, and we are a unique person based on that composition. That is one point. So one point is that our composition, and when I say composition, I means our nature, and in Sanskrit we can say swabhava, is unique. Or we can say a unique combination of the three gunas. Okay, that is first point. Second point is that it is not constant, which means it can change. Okay. So and how can it change? By some effort. So one may have a certain kind of a composition, a certain kind of a swabhava. Generally, if he doesn't do anything, if he doesn't think or act, his natural reaction will be of that type of what his swabhava or nature is. But if he puts some effort, he can change it as well. So which means if one is in the mode of passion, or very much in the mode of passion, by putting some conscious effort, you can go into the mode of goodness. So it is something that can be changed. It is not constant, or it is not a given. It is not something that you have been imprisoned by. Imprisoned means you cannot do anything about it. There is an external lock. Somebody has locked you in and you do not have the key. In this case, you have the key. By some effort, you can change your mode from one to the other. The third point is, if no effort is put, then one goes more and more entangled, or we can say bound, by his predominant nature or guna. If he doesn't take any action, if he just continues to just flow with it, then more and more he will get bound to his more and more predominant guna. Okay. So these are the 3 points that we want to take away from this. So a couple of things that I wanted to share from this thing. One is this example, another example you might have seen of a rut. It's called a rut in the road. The road, when it is built, a new road is built, right? Then it is completely flat. But have you seen that after some time, when a lot of cars drive on the road, there is a small depression that gets created in that particular area where the cars, in the middle of the lane, where the cars drive. Are you following? And there it becomes a little. So if you don't pay attention, if you're holding the steering wheel loosely, automatically the car will fall in the rut and you will keep driving. Are you following what I'm saying? How many of you, can you just, by a raise of hands, you get what I'm saying, right? Okay, very nice. Now, but if you put effort on the steering wheel, can you come out of the rut?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you can. And let us say, if you keep it there, let's say yours is the only car, it's your driveway, let's just say as an example, and you keep driving in that non-rut lane for a long time, then the rut will form, the new rut will form where you have put effort, isn't it? So which means that if you put effort and by a long time of practice, you can change your nature from one place to the other. It can be changed. But if you don't pay attention, if you just keep a loose steering wheel, what will happen to this rut? What will happen to this one? Yes, Prasoon or somebody.
So it will first consume you, or I think you will keep driving in that direction. You will not
It
be able
will-
to change.
Direction, plus it will become deeper and deeper.
Deeper. Yeah.
Deeper and deeper. Yes.
The impression will become deeper and deeper. After 1 year, you will have to put little more effort on the steering wheel to come out of it. As more and more time passes, the amount of effort required to come out of it will become more and more. Isn't it? And the chances of falling back into the same rut will be higher. It will attract you more towards it. You will have to hold your steering wheel more strongly to stay outside. But yes, the more it is deeper, the more strongly you have to hold it, and for a longer time you have to hold it for it to make a new rut in the area where you want. Are you following that example? So that is, I found, I mean, this was my personal sort of thinking. I thought it's a good example to show how the modes slowly and slowly, they bind you more and more over time, but they can be changed with effort. But the deeper your current mode is, the stronger you are bound to your current swabhava, the more effort you have to put, and for a longer time to change it. That's the only thing.
Then ultimately the deeper rut will make you fall.
So that's where, no, that then the deeper rut will disappear. In the road, it doesn't disappear. Okay, but in the guna discussion, it disappears. That's where the analogy doesn't fit. So it's not 100% analogy. Maybe you can come up with a better analogy or a better example. Okay, so in this example, that part, what happens, like, let's just make it up, that when the new rut forms, the old one heals. It, its depression disappears automatically. We can say it that way. Are you good with that? Okay. So that is what I wanted to explain. Now let us go into a summary of this whole discussion about gunas. What are the gunas?
Sir, can I ask a question before you go ahead, sir?
Yes, 1 second. Yes, go ahead.
So you said that it's a rut that we get into, and we have to put the effort to go into the other rut. So which rut are we born in?
No. You don't have to. There is no other rut. First of all, I'm going to correct your questions as you speak. You have to form the new rut.
Okay.
The road is, so again, don't go too much into the analogy. There may be problems in the analogy, like somebody else just pointed out. It doesn't auto heal, for example, but there is no new rut. You have to form it. So you don't have, it's not like you have two types of swabhava. You live in one swabhava, and by putting effort, you will automatically fall into your other swabhava. There is no other swabhava. You have to make it by constant practice over a long, conscious, constant practice over a long period of time. Then it will become your nature. It's very simple. I don't overthink this. If you are, let us say, somebody who, always, what may be a good example? Let's say watching movies. Let's say you like horror movies. And somebody tells you this is not good for your mind, always watching all these things. then slowly you have to, okay, I will watch maybe, some nice movies, some, movies full of some knowledge or kindness or compassion or whatever it may be. And you have to form that nature. It's not like you already had it. Okay, so
are we born with certain nature?
Okay, born means what? Not your present body. Your present body is just a piece of cloth. So the nature carries with you from body to body to body. So whatever the effect or the gunas that are binding are continuing from your prior past lives. Now the question becomes, what do you call as being born? Which birth are you talking about? Okay, there is no first birth because jiva is anadi. Anadi means beginningless. It is timeless. The time itself, in this material world, is that's a very, very deep question as to what is time zero. T equals 0 is undefined. But if you are talking about this particular body, yes, you are born with a certain subhav because it is carrying from your previous body. And over these millions and millions of lifetimes that you have had, you have, yes, been deepening your rut, whichever it is. And that's what you are experiencing in this life. And in the human life, you have a special capacity to consciously understand. As a dog, you cannot understand what I am telling you. Goodness, passion, ignorance, for it is just barking, bom, 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 bom. So dog will not understand. But as a human, we have the special power to understand, okay, these modes are like this. This is how they work. Which one is better for me? Goodness is better than passion. Let me try to go to goodness. You will put that conscious effort. And human life, you can do that. Okay. Was that your question?
Ji. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So summary of this discussion. Okay. Somebody was asking me, what are these 3 things? I was explaining to somebody who had a Western person who had no knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, no knowledge of anything. And I, found this to be a nice way to explain. I will say a very, very basic understanding of the three gunas. Okay. So I'll draw a table here. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And I hope everybody is very familiar with these terms by now. I like using the Sanskrit, but the English is goodness, passion, and ignorance. Initially, for those who are not familiar with these terms, the English terms make more sense because, it is a little bit self-explanatory. Goodness, passion, ignorance. But you should quickly become familiar with the Sanskrit as well. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And I will have 2 columns, yourself and others. Okay. So in Sattva Guna, there is no care for yourself. So this is not applicable, NA. And to others, you do good. Okay. So basically what this means is that you are a charitable person. Charitable, you can say. Benevolent is another word. You can put these terms around it. And you don't care much about yourself. Mainly you care about others. Rajas means you really don't care about others. All you care about is do good to yourself. I is all that matters. Me, mam, aham. These are 2 very, very important words in our Sanskrit Vedic literature. Mam, aham. Everything is for me and mine. In English, we can say it is self-centered. I will put this in red. So charitable or benevolent, self-centered. And in tamas, what do? You not only you harm others, you harm yourself also in some cases, depending on the nature of tamasic nature of somebody. Okay. And the words that we can use to describe this are crazy, insane, a maniac, etc. So we can use these words to explain such a person. Are you following? So this table you can kind of use as a very high level guiding principle or a way to understand what are these three modes depicting. Okay. Another thing. So another table I will draw. Okay. So you can have a look at this table. I will leave it here for 2 seconds. And all these things will be on YouTube. So you can have a look and, use these as sort of summary charts to understand the three modes. Now, little bit more into from the Bhagavad Gita based description. Okay, based on the Bhagavad Gita. So here we will do it differently. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, and it is born of what? What is the effect? And what is the bondage? Okay. So Sattva is born of knowledge. And its effect is illumination. But the bondage is happiness and knowledge. Now, let me cover this second and third column, and then I will come back to the first one. Rajas is born of desires or strong desires. The effect is intense craving, all the time craving, or we can say never satisfied. And the bondage is, what are you bound to? Bondage you can also understand as your constant state, What if somebody sees you, what does he see? So in case of Rajas, he always sees you as, we call it fruitive action, karma, or we can say running very fast. That's what he will see. Always running towards some goal. Tamas is born of ignorance. And the effect is confusion. And what the bondage is of laziness or craziness. Either you're completely dull in sitting in a dark room, doing nothing, always sleeping, or you're doing crazy things. Either harming others, harming yourself, basically doing all kinds of crazy and maniacal things. So this is the sort of a summary of the three modes according to the Bhagavad Gita descriptions. Okay. Now, tell me one thing. Which one would you like to be in? How many of you would like to be in tamas? Anybody like that? Tamas. Okay. No. How many of you would like to be in rajas? Okay. How many of you would like to be in sattva? Okay.
Obviously,
now all the... Sorry.
Obviously,
Yes.
Sattva only.
Sattva.
Obviously, Sattva only. Happiness and knowledge.
Yes. So everybody would like to raise their hand in Sattva, isn't it? So isn't this one, so to say, the Sattva is the most desirable? That's what you are all saying.
But after getting the knowledge of the now, it is not important to be in the Sattva also, because it is also a binding.
Exactly. That's the point I'm coming to. That is exactly the point I'm coming to. So that's a question that I have here. Are you seeing this PowerPoint now? Or are you still seeing my whiteboard?
PowerPoint.
Okay, very nice. So the question is, it is binding, isn't it? You're still bound. Who likes to be bound by anything? There is even this song, right? I want to break free, or there's a rock song or a pop song. Everybody wants to break free. Everybody wants to be free, isn't it? That is an inherent nature of the soul, to be free, independent, freedom. So binding is not something that anybody wants. But we had already discussed in the very beginning, Lord Krishna said that even the mode of goodness is binding. So the question is, why is it not okay to stay in the mode of goodness? With a sense of happiness and knowledge, and it is so pure, illuminating, sinless. We just said, nobody wants to be in tamas, nobody wants to be in rajas. But why not even goodness? Think
Prabhuji,
about
can I try?
Yeah, first take 10, 15
the ultimate
seconds before.
aim is not, we will not get the ultimate goal.
And what is the ultimate goal?
Ultimate goal is to be united with the Paramatma.
Okay, now you are going in I am talking to let us say, you are right, but that's not the explanation I'm expecting right now. I'm talking to a normal person an intelligent, wise man on the street who has no knowledge of Paramatma, no knowledge of Krishna, no knowledge of God. So give me a non-bhakti or a non-God answer. Why is this binding? So please think about it. Let everybody have some chance to think. And then you can raise your hand. At a more basic level, I would like the answer without going yet to Krishna.
If we refer to the same example of driving on the
Raise
road.
your hand. Raise your hand. If
Okay.
And Shamlila Mataji, you raised your hand, but you lowered it. Why was that?
Prabhuji, because I was going to say that if we want to go to Krishna, then we don't want to be bound and we won't get to him.
Okay, fine. So that answer, let it wait for some time. Let that answer wait.
Yes, Prabhuji.
That's not the answer we want to discuss right now. Okay, now we can start. Niru Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, if we continue to stay in one mode, it is not possible to continue and we are going to deviate from it. So, there are good chances that, we'll start getting into rajas. As we are saying, it is not constant, it can change the nature.
Yes. Okay. You're kind of, okay. I want something, think more. Yes. Your proof, mathematical in math, you write a proof, right? Some steps are missing in between.
Okay.
You have gone from one line to the next line. I want to go a little bit more like step by step. You are missing some steps. You are in the right direction. Indra Mataji.
My point was that if we refer to the same example of driving on the road, without any effort, if we are able to drive. I mean, not putting extra effort on the steering. That means we are not bothered about...
No, but the question is, if one is already in the mode of goodness, by some way, due to his past effort, he was, let us say, in tamas, and he put a lot of effort on the steering wheel, and now he is in Sattva. How he got into Sattva, we don't care.
Okay.
He is in Sattva. I am telling you that. Why is that also undesirable? Why would
Because you still have to
want
drive.
to stay there forever? All these things that are mentioned on this slide, happiness, knowledge, purity, illumination, that is the question. Yes, Manoj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, being in mode of goodness is not easy, Prabhuji, because we are attached to goodness. So we expect that, okay, people will say, I am so great, and they will praise my qualities. But let's say someday somebody does not praise, then we can think that, oh, I'm not getting value for my goodness, and then I'll go into lower qualities of tamas and rajas. So that's why it's not easy to stay in goodness, because we have people around us who have different qualities and will be affected by that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very nice. Chandan Prabhu.
Because it's not lasting, Prabhuji, again.
My question then would be, what is the cause? That way we are saying that, okay, what is lasting then? Tamas is lasting?
No, it's not. And that's why even Sattva Guna is not the eventual goal, as you're calling out, right? For example, people might take advantage of you, in which case you might get frustrated and you might start moving towards rajas or maybe one of the other gunas.
Okay, got it. Similar to what Manoj Prabhu was saying. Very
right,
nice.
Prabhuji.
Makrand Prabhu, you have your kind of video hand raised, but I didn't know what sequence to call you in, because in Zoom it tells me the sequence. Yes, go ahead. You go ahead.
Sir, I would like to give an analogy of a flying aeroplane.
Okay, brief.
Yeah, in order to keep flying well, its nose must be up. If it levels, it will go down only. So I feel that if you are constantly in one mode and not trying to improve yourself further, then rot will set in one day or the other, and you will start going down.
I see what you are saying, and many people give this answer. Okay, in the problem with that analogy is that you are assuming there is gravity, and gravity pulls you down. Yes. So in your analogy, when the plane crashes to the ground, let us say, then it will stay crashed. There is no gravity upward, so it will never go up on its own. But coming down is automatic, is what you are saying.
Right.
That means you are saying that this material world Krishna has created so that one automatically will go towards tamas. Tamas has some kind of a privilege over sattva. That is not the case. They are both, all three are equal.
सर मन की गति को तो नेगेटिव ही कहा जाता है कि थोड़ा वो.
Okay, so now कहा जाता है, तो जो कह रहा है उसको आप छोड़िए, जो भगवद गीता कह रही है आप उसको सुनिए. Okay, in Bhagavad Gita it is nowhere said that man is negative. On the contrary, in the 6th chapter it has been said the mind is a controlled mind is a friend, an uncontrolled mind is an enemy.
Right.
It has not been said that mind inherently is inimical. Okay, so let us stick to Bhagavad Gita, not to some TV serial explanation. Okay, Prasoon Prabhu.
We still have to put the effort. So we are still making the effort. So we don't want to make the effort because that requires some sort of energy, or I mean, I would say
I will interrupt. I understand what you're saying. One can apply the same question to tamas. Okay. What will help you or what will not let you stay in tamas? Think about that also. Let's say somebody is tamasic. Are we saying that he is perpetually now in tamas? To stay in goodness, you have to put effort to stay in goodness. But tamasic, you don't have to stay you don't have to put any effort to do anything. You are perpetually cast in tamas. Think about that.
In tamas, we don't have to put efforts, but I think to even become bad, you need to be in the company of bad people, for example. You need to talk about bad things and all that. So that is also an effort.
Okay. Yes, Ramakant Prabhu. Thank you.
So, in that case, a person will become useless in the society, because if
Which question are you answering?
if anything is happening, a sin is happening to anyone in front of him. So he is so self-centered that he will not bother about that. And this will be unsocial. So a person cannot be unsocial at any stage. Then taking birth.
Are you talking about Rajas? Because self-centered is Rajas.
He will become ultimately he will become self-centered, and then Rajas will be his prime. He will not be in a position to stay continuously in the mode of goodness.
Okay, fine. Okay, we will take two more. Goel Prabhu. You need to unmute.
In Sattva mode also, there will be need of Anand. He will not be in the Anand sthiti.
Okay. You are probably talking about the spiritual Anand, because there is Anand or Sukha mentioned here. So there is a lot of happiness in the mode of goodness. Ankush Prabhu?
I think if you come in any mode, you will be, in Sattva only, you will still be bound. So eventually, let's say after being in that mode, after 1 or 2 births, you will start realizing you are still bound and you want to elevate yourself. So that's why it's very difficult.
So now that is the spiritual side.
Right.
My question was, why is it, you are saying one will feel that you need to go higher, or this mode of goodness is also binding. But my question was on the negative side. Why is it detrimental to continue to stay in the mode of goodness? Yes, there could be something higher. That's what some of you were saying. But what is bad about it? What is wrong about it? Okay, we'll take
a risk of going into the other two modes.
Like some of the previous devotees said. Yes, thank you.
Complacency.
Yes. Okay, anybody else? Was that Priyanka Mataji wanted to raise the hand, or? Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. What I'm thinking, Prabhuji, why we are not stay in goodness, because whenever we are doing any good things, again we are thinking ki someone give me appreciation. Like we are searching like things ki, oh, I did this thing, but we are expecting ki someone will be appreciate us. So maybe we are not staying that mode.
Very nice, very nice. So yes, all those points are good. So those, I think, who have raised their hands and spoken, you can lower them. So I know that there is, no new hands. So yes, so there are 5 reasons. First of all, the mode of goodness is also binding. Yes, so it keeps you bound to the material world. So this is the spiritual reason. You are still bound to the material world. Even though there may be a lot of happiness, there is still one big problem. What is the one big problem? As long as you are in the material world, you have a material body. There is no doubt about that. And the material body is temporary. It is subject to death. Nobody likes death. So death will always be there, even if for a person in the mode of goodness. Even a person in mode of goodness will want to avoid death. So that is the second problem. The third one, and these are in increasing order, more severe. Pride, like many of you said, pride enters the heart. One becomes attached to enjoying the results. It is not that the mode of happiness or mode of goodness is without results. And it is not that there is no attachment at all. Lord Krishna is saying it binds one to happiness and knowledge. What does it mean? It binds one to happiness and knowledge. It means that one becomes attached to happiness and knowledge. And the moment somebody, and this is the fifth point that I mentioned, one still has to interact with the material world. You will have to be in company of other people. Somebody might poke you. Somebody might cause a dent in your happiness. Somebody might say something to you who may interfere with your attachment to goodness. And then there will be a tendency. I'm going step by step. This is sort of the detailed steps, like I was telling somebody, missing steps in the proof. So I hope that these are a little bit more detailed. There will be a tendency to protect your mode of goodness. You may feel anger, but a mode of goodness person is not angry, or he doesn't usually get angry easily. But when you are poked like this, when somebody said taken advantage of, some slowly frustration will build up. Anger may not show up on your face or in your words or actions, but it will start from the mind. If it happens more and more, it may start showing up in your body, mind, and words, in your actions. So then there is a tendency to fall towards rajas. And like that, you'll have to put constant effort to stay in sattva. So that attachment to the fruits of happiness will become endangered. I was listening to a story by somebody that there was this one person who had a small store, and he was a simple storekeeper. And on his wall in his shop, he was a very nice man. And he had put all kind of pictures of good things he had done, like, giving some food to a poor person. He would go to travel to some of these poor countries, distribute food, distribute clothes. He had put all those pictures on his wall. Okay. So one devotee, he was sharing, he went into that store, and that storekeeper, they started a conversation, and he wanted to give him a Bhagavad Gita. So he started talking to him, to this storekeeper, and the storekeeper started explaining how, all these, he's such a, it was evident he was a very simple, very joyful, very kind person. And he was genuinely sharing, not with pride. Genuinely, he was sharing how he helped all these poor people with various things. Then this person said, okay, I have another suggestion, another way in which you can help people. If you understand the spiritual science. So this Bhagavad Gita teaches you spiritual science. With this understanding, you can help people better. Somehow or the other, that person became very agitated. He said, what do you think? I don't know. I have been doing these kind of charitable things for 30 years. You are trying to tell me there is something more that I don't know? Immediately, his tone changed. So somewhere his nerve, very sensitive nerve, was hit. And this devotee was sharing that maybe the nerve that was hit is that he has nothing left to learn about how to be charitable. He knows everything. And when that concept was shaken, then his rajas came out. Are you following? So I thought that is a very nice example of how, yes, you can be, that person could have been 99% sattva, but still that 0.1% or 1% or 0.01% rajas is there. And if poked, then it can swell. So that is what is, even at a material level, there is a problem in, this is how it binds. You are still bound to that. In the mode of passion, in Rajasic mode, it is very clear, I am bound to results. If I don't win, I am sad. If my neighbor wins, I am sad. If my neighbor loses, even if I don't win, I am happy. At least he lost. This is all the characteristics of mode of passion. So that is very easy to see, and it is very easy to see how it is binding, because it increases blood pressure. It increases your tension, stress, headaches, all kind of problems. people don't like you. On the face, they may praise you, but you will hear that people will say, "Arey, that person is so bad." So you will hear all these kind of stories about yourself from others, how they don't like you, and you don't feel happy when you hear that. So we all can understand that it is not good to be in rajas or in tamas, but it is little bit hard to understand why it is not good to be constantly in sattva as well. And that is what I'm trying to sort of bring out in this discussion. Okay. So this could lead to that kind of attachment or that kind of fear of not being able to protect your goodness. And that could lead to anger or, jealousy, or a person in mode of goodness, if he sees somebody else who is even more good, he may feel, what am I not doing what he's doing? Let me do more. Not to pull him down, but to do more. That very desire to do more so that you can be better than him is a rajasic thought. So like that, in subtle ways, rajas can enter. So that is why it is called as binding. Though it is very good, but it is still binding. You are still bound to happiness. You are still bound to, you're attached to that sense of happiness and pride. The pride here, which is mentioned, is the key part. That is the sensitive nerve for somebody in the mode of sattva, in the mode of goodness. Okay. Okay. So now, oops, how did he come here? Chapter 18. Oh my God. Anyway. Oh, right here. Okay, so that's the point. Now we will go back to our discussion. So this is a summary chart of the three modes. Now let us move forward. Okay, so what is the purpose of this explanation? The purpose of this is there are three purposes. Now, first of all, one point I want to make, 99% of people in present world are in rajasic guna, in mode of passion. Most of the people, very, very few people you will find who are in mode of goodness, and nobody is so bad that completely in the mode of ignorance or tamas. So we will say 99% are predominantly means mostly in the mode of passion. We just want to, which means we are self-centered. We generally don't want to harm others or harm ourselves. That is mode of tamas. Neither are we predominantly such that we only want to do good to others, not caring that much for ourselves. Mother Teresa may be like that, Mahatma Gandhi, and so many other people, Martin Luther King and there are so many people, but you can count those people in your, on your hands. Most of the people are in the mode of passion predominantly. Sometimes you may be in the mode of, when you are in association of good people, you also naturally elevate to mode of goodness. When you are in such association, you yourself become that. But very soon when you come out of that association, you go back to your original or your swabhava. Swabhava means your nature, the rut. Okay. So what is the purpose of this discussion? To give an idea of the presence or existence of the modes and its attributes or characteristics. Okay, just to give that knowledge that this theory exists. Many people may be completely, unaware of even this knowledge. Okay. The second one is to allow us to do a self-diagnosis if time permits, we will do a small exercise today. A self-diagnosis of where am I? You can only do a diagnosis when you know something about that. So the first point is necessary. Okay, this means mode of goodness, this means passion, this means ignorance. Now you can do self-analysis. And the third one is to allow us to come up with application, or we can say plan or strategy to move towards Sattva Guna. Okay? To move towards Satguna. We all said we want to be there. We want to go there. Because most of us are not predominantly in Sattva Guna. So at least first go there. Yes, there are problems even in Sattva Guna. Definitely there are problems. But there are bigger problems in Rajas and even bigger problems in Tamas. Agreed? So one shouldn't say, oh, even in Sattva Guna there are problems. And in Rajas also there are problems, so I will stay in Rajas. No. Rajas has more problems than Sattva. So go to a place of less problems. Okay? So this is the purpose of this discussion. Of this discussion of the three gunas. And then there is a fourth purpose. So I will draw a line here. And this is where I want to explain that the Sattva Guna is the best platform to execute Krishna Bhakti. Now comes the spiritual angle. It is very, very, very hard to say I am a genuine bhakta of Krishna and you are in the Rajasic or the Tamasic mode. Those two do not go hand in hand. Those two means Krishna Bhakti and being a self-centered person, or Krishna Bhakti and being a criminal, or being a truly crazy or a very, very negative person. Those cannot go hand in hand. So Krishna Bhakti goes hand in hand with Sattva Guna. These go hand in hand, absolutely. Internally, a Krishna Bhakta is a Bhakta, but externally, if nobody cares or nobody knows that you are a Krishna Bhakta, externally he will see you as a very, very kind, charitable, benevolent, very good person. So Sattva Guna is the best platform. This is an example I had given many years ago in one of my previous classes. Krishna Bhakti is like going in an aeroplane ride. You are going in the sky. What is the best place to be to catch a flight? From your home or from the airport? From the airport, isn't it? So if you want to take a flight, go to the airport. If you are sitting at home and you are thinking, I will catch a flight, it will not happen. Okay, in very rare cases, it may happen. If you have a heart attack, you call 911. In America, you can call 911 and a helicopter will come and he will airlift you from your home. But you need, that is like special mercy of the government. So sometimes by special mercy of Krishna, we have discussed this, if Narad Muni comes or somebody like that comes, even a very, very big criminal can become a Krishna Bhakta. That is by special mercy of Bhagavan. Just like special mercy of the government, if you call 911, you can be airlifted. In other countries, that facility is not available. Okay, so don't depend on that, special miracle or mercy to occur. Best thing, if you want to catch a flight, go to the airport and then you can catch a flight. It's the easiest and best place. So in the same way, Sattva Guna is the best platform for Krishna Bhakti. That is where we are going. So this chapter, I want to just show. So what is the sort of the, so I think we have discussed largely the discussion of the three modes. So there are four main questions of chapter 14. And what are those main questions of chapter 14? I just want to show you. The main questions answered in chapter 14. What are the three modes of nature? We have discussed that, right? Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. How do the modes work? We also discussed that. How do the modes keep the jiva bound? That also we have discussed. And how can one break free from the three modes? Because now once you understand that I am bound in these three modes, and we had this long discussion about even in mode of goodness, one is bound and one can be disturbed and one can fall down. How can one break free from these three modes? That is the discussion which is remaining, the fourth question, which we will discuss. Okay. Yeah. So let us discuss that. So these are the four main questions of chapter 14 we showed on slide. Okay. So what we will do now, chapter 14.10, 10th verse we covered, 11 to 14.18. These 8 verses we will read quickly. We have already covered these 8 verses, 11 to 18, in this summary table. So I will display this summary table over here. And I will read the translations from 11 to 18. So 11, 12, and 13 are describing the symptoms of the three modes. Okay, so basically these are now details of some things which I have summarized in this table already. Please keep that in mind. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated with knowledge. So this is the symptom of the mode. So you can see here that knowledge, all the 9 gates of the body has 9 holes, 7 holes on the face or the head, and 2 holes at the bottom part of our body. So 9 holes, which is basically the body of 9 gates, it is called Navadwara Pura. Like we say, what is another famous Pura? Nagpur. So we call the human body as Navadwara Pura. Pura means place. Navadwara means 9 gates or 9 holes. So sorry, I missed my verse. Oh, right here. So 12. So the symptom is that of knowledge. Number 12. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, this fruitive action is now being mentioned, intense endeavor and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. So all these things are mentioned here: intense craving, strong desires, that is mode of passion. Number 13, when there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion, craziness, madness, illusion are manifested. Now, another thing I will just add here, the destination. Okay, so I will just add destination here on the side in blue color. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. So in Sattva, one goes to higher planets. That is what is mentioned. In number 15, when one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. So this Rajas is basically on the earthly plane. And this is in the animal kingdom. We will not go into the details of this. This does not really mean that in mode of passion, you will be guaranteed a human birth. That is not the understanding at all. An example, even in Sattva Guna, you can get an animal body. An animal in the mode of Sattva, the primary animal in the mode of Sattva, anybody knows which one it is called?
Cow.
Cow, yes. So a person who is in the mode of Sattva could get a cow, become a cow in the next life. Very, it has all the characteristics of the mode of goodness. Rajas is called like a tiger or elephant. They are in the mode of Rajas. Tamas are like snakes and insects. Poisonous, especially poisonous insects. Scorpion or other, so many poisonous insects are there. They are full of poison and they give poison to others. Like we discussed, they harm themselves and they harm others. The poison is eating them. Now, of course, in a snake's case, the poison doesn't kill the snake. I don't know. But in the case of a person in the mode of ignorance, that poison one is carrying in his own heart is killing him also. Plus, he is going around spewing poison to others. Number 16 is talking about the phala, or the result in the three modes. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. The action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and the action performed in mode of ignorance results in foolishness. So these are sort of, you can think of as the midterm results, midterm, we can say, yeah, results or destination. Okay. So this is purity. In mode of Rajas, it is misery. Ultimately, that person will be in misery. And in Tamas, it will be foolishness. So these are the intermediate results, number 16. Number 17, from the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. These are the long-term results. So that's verse number 14.16 was talking about midterm results. And 14.17 is talking about long-term results. That is the way to understand this. So it is real knowledge. Rajas is greed, more and more greed. So you can see this is what causes you to stay in that mode. This is the groove becoming, or that rut becoming deeper and deeper. You get more knowledge. It gives more happiness. So you want to stay in Sattva. Greed in the mode of Rajas. You are more greedy, you continue to stay in the mode of, you start to run faster. And from the mode of ignorance, develop foolish, madness, and illusion. That is Ajnana, Pramad, and Moha. So you are ignorant and you are, completely mad, and you continue to stay in that state of madness. So that is madness. Okay, 18th is talking about the planet. Which planets do you go to? Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, not on earth, maybe earthly planets. And those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds or planets that are below. It is known as Adho Gacchati Tamasaha, means the downward planets. So upward planets, medium planets, downward planets. That is what Bhagavad Gita is telling. Okay, so we have covered this broad description in Bhagavad Gita about the three modes. Now comes a very, very important verse where Lord Krishna is saying, what is he saying? Don't stay bound to the modes. This is 14.19. Don't stay bound to the modes. So let us see what 19th verse is saying. Na anyam gunebhyah kartaram yada drishta anupashyati gunebhyascha param veti mad bhavam so adhigacchati. Very, very, very important word. This one and the 20th. So 19 and 20. Don't stay bound to the modes. Transcend the modes. Go beyond the modes. Transcend means go beyond. So 19 is saying, na anyam gunebhyah kartaram. That first of all, the gunas are the one that are controlling you, are controlling your swabhav or your nature. There is no other performer. Kartaram, na anyam, no other, gunebhyah, other than the gunas. The gunas are the ones that are giving you who you are, your personality. And your personality, your attitude is what causes you to do the actions. So the gunas are giving you who you are. They are defining who you are. At a material bodily level, not the soul, by the way, at the bodily level. So that is who is doing the actions. Yada drishta anupashyati. When the seer sees this properly, that means when the jiva is able to, when the intelligent person is able to detach himself through knowledge and see, oh, wow, this is how the gunas are controlling me. Gunebhyascha param veti. And he knows that what is transcendental. Param. When he knows veti, what is param to the gunebhya? There is something beyond the modes. Mad bhavam so adhigacchati. He comes to my nature. Mad bhavam. Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna is saying he comes to me. Mad bhavam. So adhigacchati. So Srila Prabhupada translation is, when one properly sees that in all activities, no other performer is at work than these three modes of nature. And he knows the Supreme Lord also, Gunebhyascha param veti, that there is somebody beyond the modes. Srila Prabhupada is saying the Supreme Lord as being beyond the modes, who is transcendental to these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. So the way to break free, so this is the answer to the fourth question. Remember, I showed you 4 questions over here. How can one break free from the modes? This is the answer to that. A more direct answer is coming, but this is the answer at this level, that to know that there is something beyond the modes. And what is the next one? Gunanetan atityatrin dehi deha samudbhavan janma mrityu jara dukkhair vimukto amritam ashnute. So now he is saying that there is this very important term, transcend the modes. I'll make it a longer arrow. Very important term, guna atita. Guna atita means to go beyond. Okay. So guna atita person means one who goes beyond the modes, transcends beyond the 3 modes. So transcending the 3 modes. So gunan etan guna etan atityatrin, one who can transcend the 3 modes. Dehi deha samudbhavan, which are associated with the deha, which are associated with the material body. Janma mrityu jara dukkhair vimukto. He becomes mukta of these things. Janma mrityu. He becomes, like I said, one of the reasons why mode of goodness also is not so good is because death is also there. So you can become free from janma mrityu. Jara means old age and all kind of dukkha. Janma mrityu jara dukkhair vimukto. Amritam ashnute. Amrita means he can, ashnute means to taste. He tastes immortality. Amrita. Okay. So Arjun has a question at this point. So you understood 19 and 20. Don't stay bound to the modes. Transcend the modes. All right. Now 21 is Arjuna's question. Arjuna is asking a question. What is the question he's asking? Arjuna uvacha kairlingais strin gunanetan atito bhavati prabho kim acharah katham chaitams strin gunan ativartate. So he's asking how many questions? 2 questions. 3 questions actually he's asking. So kai linga is trigunan etan atito. So again that word guna atita is coming, even though it is broken up. Trigunan etan atito. So guna atita. So kai lingais means what are his symptoms? Who is the his here? Who can tell me? Who's paying attention? His is
Jiva.
referring to who?
Gunatit.
Jiva.
The person who has transcended.
Yes, not
Gunatit.
jiva, not any jiva. The guna atita jiva.
Hmm.
One who has transcended. What are his symptoms? Arjun wants to know. He is curious student. Second question. Kim acharah? Achar we all understand, behavior. So what is his behavior? Achar. And the third one is the most important ones. Katham chaitams trigunan ativartate. How can one go beyond the 3 modes? How can one become like him? Okay. How can I become like him, or how can one become like him? Okay. How to break from the modes. So 14.22 to 25 is in one section. Number 22 is talking about the first answer, symptoms. And 23 to 25 is talking about behavior. And then 26 is the most important verse of the chapter. Most important verse of chapter 14, and it is the essence of entire Bhagavad Gita. That is why in the first verse of chapter 14, what did Krishna Bhagavan say in the very first verse? That this is the Param Bhuyah Pravikshyami Jnananam Jnanam Uttamam. This is the Uttam Gyan. This is what we call, or Bhagavan Krishna call as Uttama Gyan. In the 26th verse. Most important. And then 27th verse also is very, very important, and it is showing a very important point. And then chapter ends. Fine. So what are the symptoms? So I will read, we will just read the Sanskrit. I mean the English translation. So 22nd verse is giving the symptoms. So at a high level, at a very high level, the symptoms and the behavior are kind of similar things, but basically the point is equanimity of mind. Means the mind is controlled. There is no wavering of the mind in good or bad, in happiness or distress, in honor or dishonor. If one speaks good about you, you don't become happy. If one speaks bad about you, you don't become sad. Mind is completely self-controlled, and you are completely calm and not affected by anything material, not affected by matter. Remember the analogy of diving into the pool? There is one way in which a person can stay dry. If he puts on a wetsuit,
Plastic suit.
Plastic suit or wetsuit, whatever, then he will remain dry. And that we will see in verse 26, that wetsuit is Krishna Bhakti. Even though he is in the material world, even though he's in the water, he can remain dry because he's wearing a covering of Krishna Bhakti. And therefore, these external gunas don't affect him. Matter does not affect the guna atita jiva. That is the point. So I will put it in red color here. The main point is matter does not affect the guna atita jiva. That is the main point. Because he is wearing, matter means, what is matter here? The gunas. So let us read the 22 translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Prakasham cha pravrittim cha moham eva cha pandava na dveshti sampravrittani na nivrittani kankshati. Oh, sorry, I started reading the Sanskrit. So, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear. That is the translation of 22. Of course, Srila Prabhupada is giving it in a long sentence, but that much, these are the points of number 22. So these are the symptoms. If you see such a person, you will see that he is na nivrittani na kankshati. Nivrittani means he is not
detachment.
He is detached from everything, and kankshati means he has no desires. So what is that? Yeah, prakasham cha pravrittim cha moham eva cha pandava. So he has no moha, he has no pravritti. Pravritti means attachments. So he has no attachments, he has no desires, he is calm and composed in all situations. Those are the symptoms. Now, when presented with adverse situation, if somebody pokes him, so you understood number 22 is just if you observe him from far away, that's how he looks. If you poke him with various things, you dishonor him, you praise him, you do something else, how will he react? That is behavior. Behavior means reaction. So let us see. Who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self, regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal towards the desirable and the undesirable, who is situated equally well in praise and blame, whether you praise him or blame him, he is situated equally, honor and dishonor, man and apaman, who treats alike both friend and enemy, mitra and ari. Ari is enemy, mitra is friend, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. So each of these words is very important. It's not like they're 3 verses, 4 verses are conveying just one meaning. In Bhakti Shastri and in other detailed discussions, we will go through it in detail. But from this, you get a sense of what I have said in this page, what I am showing, that his mind is completely controlled. He does not come in the effect of matter. That is the main thing. Okay. Now comes the most important verse, number 26, which is that of how one can become like him. So, how to transcend the 3 modes. This is our $1 million question. What is the key? What is the secret? So guess what? Who can guess what is the secret? I don't have $1 million.
Bhakti.
Okay. Shamlila Mataji, you have raised your hand.
Surrendering to Bhagwan. I think in chapter 7 या कुछ भगवान ने ही बोला था. आपने GSD का example दिया था प्रभु जी, वो German Shepherd dog का.
Okay. German Shepherd ka. Okay. Very nice. So yes, the answer is surrendering to Krishna, and basically the answer is Krishna Bhakti. And you will see that even though, like I mentioned in this whole section of chapter 13 to 18 or 18 and a half, basically, it is about jnana, but Bhakti, Lord Krishna is saying very directly in every chapter. Every single chapter, Lord Krishna is talking directly about Bhakti. In 13th chapter, 19th verse, Lord Krishna said that only my bhakta, mad bhakta etad vigagyaya mad bhava upapadyate, that my devotee can understand this and get my bhava. And similarly in 14.26, Lord Krishna is not mincing any words. It's very clear. In very clear terms, Lord Krishna is going to say, what is he going to say? Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sa gunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Very, very, very important verse. So let us dissect this verse a little bit. Mam chayo, mam. So first of all, mam. Who's Bhakti? Who's Bhakti? Krishna is saying. Mam. Who is speaking mam? Krishna. Mam means my. Means Krishna's. Not somebody else's. Mam. Chayo avyabhicharena. Very important word. Avyabhicharena means unbroken. Unbroken, continuous, steady. If you remember, in our bhakti, it need to be S cubed. Who can tell me what is S cubed? S cubed bhakti. Who remembers?
Sincerity, seriousness,
and steady.
And abhi bataya, just now we said steady. Very nice. So you told the things we did not discuss, which is very nice. Sincere, serious, and the third one is steady bhakti. So here Lord Krishna is talking about steady. Avyabhicharena means unbroken, continuous. It doesn't mean that 24/7 you don't go to a job, or you don't take care of your child or family or husband or wife, or we have discussed those topics so many times. We know how to do, we have discussed how to do unbroken. What is the meaning of unbroken bhakti? While living your day-to-day life. But avyabhicharena. And then bhakti. I am going to break up the word bhakti yogena and sevate. All these words are very important. So bhakti, we all know, bhakti is bhakti to Krishna, devotion. But it is yogena. Yogena means it is attached to Krishna. It's not just some isolated bhakti, which your own definition of bhakti. It is bhakti yoga, which means in relation to Krishna. When we, in our Bhakti Shastri, when we will read Nectar of Devotion, we will read a very important verse, which is, what is that? Jnana karmadi anavritam. How it starts. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam Bhaktir Uttama. Say that again. Start. Anyabhilashita shunyam. Anyabhilashita shunyam. Jnana karmadi anavritam. Anukulyena. That is the word. Krishna Anushilanam. bhaktir uttama. So anukulyena Krishna anushilanam. Anukulyena means which is aligned with, in relation to Krishna anushilanam, so that he becomes happy. So in relation to Krishna, and sevate means service, some kind of seva, not just for your own, and you must have the seva of Bhagwan. Now seva can be just taking his name. It doesn't mean going and doing some muscular work. That is also nice, but even just taking his name, but do it with a seva bhaav, that I am doing it for Krishna because he will become happy. Okay, so mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Like this, sagunan sama ati samati taitan. So guna atita. Like this, one can become guna atita. And when one becomes guna atit, what does one get? When you do bhakti like this, what do you get? Who can tell? This kind of bhakti leads to what? We have studied so many times.
Liberation.
Brahman.
Vaikuntha.
Brahman.
Vaikuntha.
Who said Brahman?
Vaikuntha is with the kripa, but by this one can achieve the Brahman level.
Well, you are reading from the verse and that's how you are telling. But what we have discussed so far, by doing Krishna bhakti, what do you get?
We get
We
his
go
nature,
back to home.
his bhaav.
Yes, we go back to Vaikuntha, we go back to his home, our home. Now Krishna Bhagwan is making a very important, now I'm transitioning into the next and last point of this verse, out of this chapter. I will go a little bit ahead because it doesn't make sense to just leave the last portion for next time. Okay. So today I will just extend the class a little bit. So by doing Krishna bhakti, we go back to Krishna, isn't it? But here, what is he saying? What he is saying, Brahma bhuyaya kalpate, which means he gets elevated or risen to Brahman. Hey, that's a contradiction. So far, Lord Krishna was saying, if you do my bhakti, you will come to me, you will get mad bhava. Just 2 verses before, not 2 verses, maybe 5 verses before. What did he say? In 19th verse, mad bhavam so adhigacchati. He will attain my bhava. But now he is saying Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So we will stay with this. He gets risen to the Brahman. Brahman we all understand. I'm not going to go into discussion of what is Brahman. There are 3 levels of understanding Krishna. One is Brahman, one is Paramatma, and the final and the highest is Bhagavan. So this is in increasing order. Okay. But now in this verse, one is saying by doing bhakti, you will come to the Brahman platform. Very soon in the next verse, Lord Krishna is saying, that is the importance of the next verse. What is Bhagavan saying in the next verse? Brahmano hi pratishtha aham amritasya avyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya ekantikasya cha. So the first line is very important. Brahmano hi pratishtha aham. Pratishtha is a Sanskrit. Obviously, the whole Bhagavad Gita is Sanskrit. And I have talked to some of the topmost Sanskrit Vidwans and devotees that I know. One of them is Hari Parshad Prabhu. And highly, highly respected scholars of Vaishnava scriptures. Pratishtha means prestige. That is one meaning of pratishtha. Look in the Sanskrit dictionary. The second meaning of pratishtha means foundation.
Establish.
Foundation. So Bhagavan is saying Brahman, in Brahma, that Brahman, he pratishtha aham. I am the foundation of the Brahman. So what is Bhagavan saying? Krishna or aham is the foundation of Brahman. So Bhagavan is saying, yes, you will come to the Brahman level, but finally he also said you will come to me, so you automatically come to Brahman. So in these two verses, 14.26 and 14.27, in our Bhakti Shastri classes, there is one question. If you go to Krishna Lok or if you go to Vaikuntha Lok, does it include Brahman liberation or Brahman attainment as well? Answer is yes. When you go to Krishna, Brahman is already included in that. It is like when you win $1 million lottery, then $100 is already included in that. Then you don't ask, did you win $100? Obviously, I won $1 million. What to say 100? Okay. So next verse itself, Bhagavan is saying, you will actually come to me. Yes, you will go to Brahman by becoming guna atita. The best way of bhakti, guna atita, is just a side effect. It's like I won $1 million. One of the side effect is I won $100. But I won much more than that. So you will come to me, and yes, as a side effect, you will also become guna atita. But a bhakta does not do Krishna bhakti to become guna atita. One does Krishna bhakti because he is in love with Krishna. And becoming guna atita is a side benefit for a bhakta. All right. So that is the meaning of this point, that Bhagavan is saying there is no contradiction. By doing my bhakti, you will become gunatita and you will get Brahman, but you will also come to me, which is much more than that, because I am the basis, I am the foundation of Brahman. Foundation is necessary. The house structure may not be there. In India, you might have seen many places where only foundation is there, there is no structure. The construction was stopped only after the foundation was laid. Have you seen such places? Where only the few see foundation, no structure, because the contractor ran away, isn't it? But have you seen any house without a foundation? That is not possible. The house will fall, isn't it? So foundation can exist without the structure, but structure cannot exist without the foundation. So Brahman, so another important point is cause and effect. What is the foundation is the cause. The foundation is the cause, or basically foundation comes first or is mandatory. I'm giving you this whole sort of logical understanding. Effect means the building. One is the foundation, one is the building, which means it comes after, and it is optional. Building may be optional. Sometimes you just see foundation. Yes, foundation can stay there. Building is optional. And it comes later. And the cause is Krishna. And the effect is, one of the effects is Brahman or Brahma Jyoti. Brahma Jyoti is just the light coming from Krishna's body. Just a light comes from the bulb, isn't it? Bulb can be there without the light. If you switch off the bulb, the light will go, the bulb will stay there. But without the bulb, there can be no light. If the bulb is fused, whether you switch it on, off, whatever you do, there'll be no light without the bulb. Or if there is no bulb in the bulb holder, there'll be no light, isn't it? So bulb is the cause, the light is the effect. Similarly, Krishna is the cause, and the light from Krishna's body is the Brahma Jyoti, which is the effect. That is being said in the main thing which is being said in 14.27. And this is one of the very only verses in Bhagavad Gita. There's another one, 13, I think. Let me check. 13 point. Yes, that one. But that is also an indirect reference. 14.27 is the direct reference that Krishna is superior, greater than Brahman. This directly defeats, this verse defeats Brahmavad or Mayavad. Mainly Mayavad. Brahmavad means the improper version of Brahmavad. There are branches within Brahmavad. We will not go into that. But the Mayavad definitely, where Mayavadis say that the Bhagavan form is material because Brahman got mixed with Gunas. When Brahman is mixed with Guna, then you get Bhagavan. That means the cause is Brahman and the effect is Bhagavan. Is that the right understanding? No. 14.27 would be, how will they explain 14.27? Where Krishna is saying, Brahmano hi pratishtha aham. They have great difficulty in explaining 14.27. They will do some word jugglery. Okay. It's a very, very foundational, important verse for a certain class of people who claim the opposite understanding, who try to flip the understanding, who try to diminish the position of Bhagavan Krishna. 14.27 is the our defense, strongest defense in Bhagavad Gita. Please remember that for those who are interested in this aspect. And then Lord Krishna goes on to say, which is this Brahman is immortal, imperishable, eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Those are all included in the Brahman because they are also included in Krishna. It's like $100 is included in $1 million. If you won $1 million and I ask you, do you have 100? Yes, of course I have 100. Why? Because I have million. Why will I not have 100? Okay. Krishna Bhagavan, according to Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has 64 primary qualities. Here only 4 qualities are mentioned. Immortal, imperishable, eternal, and the position, the constitutional position of ultimate happiness, which is Sukhasya Ekantikasya. So only 4 are mentioned. Krishna is much more than that. That is the remaining 999 million, whatever, $9,990. Yes, these 4 are there, plus lot more within Krishna. Are you following? Okay. So we will stop here. We completed chapter 14. Any questions? So I have a couple of questions on the sent to me on the private chat. Let me take them. Yeah, how to identify which guna is prevalent? Yeah, I had a small exercise planned. There was no time. Maybe we can do it next time. Sort of a little diagnostic exercise. But you get the idea. Maybe we will do it in 17th chapter because a lot of the material from that exercise is taken from chapter 17. So let me write it down. When we do chapter 17, we will do a diagnostic exercise, little bit an expansion of chapter 17 to see which mode you are in. But I am telling you, don't worry. It's not a IQ exercise. What's the point of doing exercise? Srila Prabhupada, our acharyas have already told us 99% people are in rajas. Okay. The important thing is to come to goodness. Okay. Why you have to do diagnosis? You have material body, you will become old, you will die. We will all die one day. Why do you need diagnosis? Do you go to the doctor and ask, will I die? Everybody is anyway going to die. So what is the diagnosis needed? So it's not a very useful exercise, but it also helps you to see, like, what are the things you can do to come to the mode of goodness. Chapter 17 has some very nice points. So we will go through that. Okay. So that was one question, how to identify which one is prevalent, or it doesn't matter. We should try and come to Sattva Guna. Yes, that is the answer. You should try to come to Sattva Guna. More importantly, don't stay in Sattva Guna. Who can complete the sentence? Don't stay in Sattva Guna, but
Transcend.
transcend Sattva Guna by doing
Krishna Bhakti.
Krishna Bhakti.
some more words out of Krishna Bhakti.
Unbroken Krishna Bhakti.
Unbroken
Yes.
Krishna Bhakti and
Sincere, serious, and steady.
okay, no,
Steady.
that is sincere and serious is from different verse. From today's verse.
Steady.
One important word.
Steady.
No, steady, that is avyabhicharena. One more word. One more word which is very important. Seva
Unbroken.
bhava. Unbroken is same as avyabhicharena. You're just saying in different language. Sewa bhava.
Mhm.
Why that is important? Please listen carefully. Whoever is remaining in the call, or you should listen in the recording. Very, very important. When you are doing Krishna Bhakti, something will happen. Okay? Something will happen. Let us say you are doing some Krishna Bhakti. I don't want to, somebody will poke you. No, you should not do this, you should do that instead. Or that bhakti, that form of bhakti is better than this. Or no, you are not doing this, something will happen. You will always remember, or sometimes you will feel, oh, am I doing it nicely? My bhakti is other people looking at me? How nice bhakti I am doing. Some pride will come for your bhakti also. You will do very nice bhakti. Let us say you are cleaning the floor in the temple. So you clean very nicely when other people are looking, but then you do quickly when nobody is looking. But if you do it as sewa bhaav for Krishna, then you will think that I am doing seva of Krishna. And he is always looking. And therefore, I must not be proud whether other people are looking or not. Or if somebody says something to you, why you didn't do this today, or why you didn't do that today, or you should do that instead, or, I didn't like this, or I didn't like that. In your heart, if you are doing it properly, purely, and you think it is my seva, my small seva to Krishna, and let's say you donate $100, somebody says you should donate 500, then you are better devotee. If according to my means, I am doing whatever seva I am doing with a pure heart, I am doing. Don't get to, unless that person is your mentor, is your spiritual master, is your guru, then you have to listen. But, don't get affected by other people. And the way to not get affected by other people is to always take your Krishna Bhakti as a seva to Krishna. It is my little seva to Krishna. Like the squirrel, there is no big seva, small seva. Hanumanji said, I am lifting so many big rocks. What are you doing? You are just carrying little sand in the tail. You should, if you want to really do seva, you should lift big rocks like I am doing. He didn't say that, but I'm just extrapolating. Bhagwan Ram immediately corrected Hanumanji that the squirrel's seva, they are doing with the same bhaav with which you are doing. You are doing according to your capacity, they are doing according to their capacity. But they may be lifting small particle, you are lifting a whole mountain. But the bhava is the same in both. So seva bhava, as long as you are doing with 100% seva bhava to Krishna, That is all that matters. Nothing else matters. Absolutely nothing else matters. So always do your Krishna Bhakti according to the sewa bhaav to Krishna. Okay, one more question we will take. Yeah. So one question is, sometimes I feel like how far I remember all these in this life. So like, and one life is not, basically the point is one life is not sufficient so that I can continue in the next one life when it comes, and so many lives. So the point is how long it takes, what is the duration it takes to become perfect in our bhakti. That is one of the questions. So don't worry about how long the journey is. The more important point is start on the journey. And the important part is, I will draw it here. Right now, it may look you are here. And this, let us say, is the goal. And you are making progress like this. And it will take a long time to reach this goal. Very long time. But the point is that when you start going on this path, it is exponential. You don't know that. You feel you are in this portion, in the beginning portion. You feel it will, if I keep going like this, I will never reach the goal. But Krishna helps. If he sees S cubed, always remember S cubed. Sincere, serious, and steady bhakti, if he sees in you, then he will help, he will pull you up, and your growth will be exponential. You don't have to wait till this long time. It will only take this short time. So have faith on Krishna. Do your part very, very nicely. Krishna Bhagwan has given so many resources, so many facilities. In every body, he has given the facilities. We have been keeping him waiting for many lifetimes. He is saying, do bhakti. We are saying, Abhi, next life, next life, next life. We have been keeping him waiting. We question, why is he taking so long? Why can't he make me bhakta in 5 minutes? We have been keeping him waiting for so many lifetimes. You cannot wait for even one life. So do your part, which is the S cubed bhakti. And very quickly, you will see how he pulls you up. So have faith in Bhagwan, have faith in the process, and you will very quickly move ahead. So we will, so that was one of the questions that was asked. We will take more questions next time, and we will stop here. Yeah, today's class, I'm sorry, went a little long because we were at the very end of the 14th chapter. It didn't make sense to just leave the last one verse or two verses aside. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Okay, I will close the call. Thank you.